so in the previous video we made this abomination here. What we're going to do now is apply a material to it. Okay, so by default, when you're looking at the model, what you actually do is it has a shader applied to it, right? So basically, the model itself would look like this. It wouldn't look like, actually, it wouldn't even look like this. It would look like nothing, because it's just mathematical points in space, right? It's just this wireframe. The shader itself is this surface that you see. Basically, it interacts with the light, and then when we're viewing it like this, it's being real-time rendered through our video card. And that surface shader is actually what's drawing the surface for us, okay? But we can manipulate that, and by that I mean we can apply images on top of it that will change the way that it looks, okay? So right now, the color channel, which is one of the textures that we can do, right now the color channel itself is just solid gray. Like that's what's being placed upon it, because what it does is it has a Lambert default gray shader. Now, don't do this, I'm just showing you. I can change that here. So it just has default gray Lambert shader. I can select that, and let's just do it over here. And I can change the color to like red or something, right? But if I try to do anything more complicated, so let's say like a checkers, okay, I got it 6. You're going to see this is super inconsistent. See how it's all weird? The reason why that is that it is that the model itself, so you'll remember that we have components here, right? So I have vertices, faces, and edges, right? That's what this model is made up of. It actually has more components than that. Another one it has are what's called UVs, and that's what's being laid over top of this guy. Because this is a 2D image that's being projected onto this model, all right? So we use 2D images, but this model is 3D. So what 3D programs do, the way the technology works, is that basically the model will have corresponding points here. So for every vertex that's here, there's a corresponding 2D UV over here. So if I grab this dot here, let's say, its UV is right here. So the key that you want to do is you want to make basically a 2D version of this that is very obvious over, that's unfolded and laid out well here. And if you look, you can probably kind of tell, not that one, which one is it? Oh, here we go. That one. The UVs look nothing like this, and they're just all jammed up. Because we did modeling, we cut and we extruded and stuff, and every time we do that, it doesn't know where to put any of them, so it just gets thrown in there. It's not thoughtful in any way, because it's a computer and it doesn't understand what's going on. Even if we weren't doing that, it would still be an issue. So we need to basically make that work. A better example would be if I just grabbed a cube, right? So if we had a cube, imagine this is just you see how it's nicely done? Because all of the primitives we make them, they already have the UVs laid out, okay? So if you look at here, you can see if I grab this face, okay? If I were to grab this face, that face is there. If I grab this face, it's there. This one's behind, and then this one's the bottom. And then this is this side. I got the symmetry on. But you get the idea, right? So, so if I grab a UV here, I can see the UV there. Again, it's doing symmetry, but you get the idea. So that is very easily unfolded. You can see it's like cut, and then it's unfolded to look like this. Just like if it was a cardboard box, you cut it to separate, right? Or if you have a shirt, right? If you look at your shirt, you have these seams. It used to be a flat 2D fabric that they fold over and stitched to make a three-dimensional form that you can put over top of your body. That's basically the same idea here, but we're doing the opposite. So I'm sure you've probably seen like Silence of the Lambs or different things where they like cut people's bodies up or whatever. That's what we're doing. We're just going to basically massacre this person and cut him. We're going to slice him up and flay him out, right? So that's what we're basically shooting for. All right, I'm going to get rid of that. Let me close out of this. Okay. And let me just real quickly see if I can edit, delete, all by type, history. I'm just going to fix the business here. And come on, break connection. Okay. So we got this dude here. He's all like, what? And he's gray and he's terrible. So what we're going to do is we're just going to basically cut him up and So first thing we're going to do is we're going to project the UVs. And what that means is that we're basically going to take a snapshot of it. And there's different types of projection. So there's like cylindrical projection, there's spherical projection, and there's automatic and planar. And basically it just means that we'll try to take it and unwrap it in a way. What we're going to do is we're just going to do a straight up planar projection. Now before I even do that, I'm going to grab the head and the body, and let's just do mesh combine. So it's just all one piece, just makes it easier. So just select them both, do mesh combine. Okay, so we got them both. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do a planar. So we'll just do it right from the front here. So I'm just going to go to the front view, and I'm just going to take a snapshot like that. So to do that, you're going to go to UV, make sure you're in the modeling toolkit here, UV, and we're going to go to planar, actually, you know what? Don't even worry about that. Hit camera base. Camera base will be the planar, but what it does is it does it based on your camera view. Kind of obvious, right? So just to give you an idea here too, I'm going to put the UV editor up. So you see this is what it look like. This is what it looks like. Now watch when I do this. And let me show you. You can kind of, is it showing it here? Oh, it's not showing the projection. But basically it took a snapshot straight across, almost like it's an X-ray, okay? Now the problem with this is that seems all fine and dandy, but what's actually happening is we took a shot straight through. So that means like his back faces here are also like where his front ones are. See how like if I click on the back, see it's behind him? Because we just shot straight through it. So I need to take the back and his other stuff and unravel him. Right now he's completely, it's like we took him and we just flattened it. So if I were to put like, let's say a sign here that says, my name's Jeff, right? Like a little sticker says, hello, my name's Jeff. That would also show up on his back because that picture over here would say, my name's Jeff. And that would look fine. It would totally look like my name's Jeff. But it would be projected straight through. So it wouldn't even say my name's Jeff. It would say my name's Jeff backwards, right? So it'd be the whole red rum thing. You know what I mean? Murder and then red rum. If you're familiar with The Shining. I don't know. Old. Okay. So now we need to kind of go a step farther than that and actually cut this guy up into pieces and then unwrap those pieces, okay? But what we need to do is what I kind of alluded to earlier is we have to choose where the seams are going to be, because I cannot project this, I cannot unravel this unless I cut it open. I have to cut seams into it so that like if I had, you know, my shirt, right? If I want to make this sleeve, if I want this to be flat, I'm going to have to cut the seam and then I can unravel it. Otherwise, there's no way. Right now, it's like we took the shirt and we just went flat with it. So I'd have to cut the seams. So generally speaking, you want to make the seams, and they're going to show up because when you go painting and stuff, like they're just obvious. You want to make the seams one of two things. Either put seams where, even if they're noticeable, no one's going to really be able to tell. So that's really obvious. Do it where closed seams are, right? So I put like a seam right here for my sleeve and then a seam underneath because that's actually where there are physical seams. So even if you see them, they go, oh, well, it's just the seam of the sleeve. Or you put seams where you're less likely to see them. So for instance, if you were to look at a normal person in a film or whatever, you never really see the back, right? You always see the front of the person. Very rarely do you see the back of them. So you will generally try to hide the seams in spots that are less likely to be seen. And that's typically what you do. So where are we at? Okay, we'll keep going. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut this guy up into chunks that kind of make sense, and we'll go from there. Okay, so let's start with his torso here. So I'm going to do it just like my t-shirt because he's wearing a t-shirt, and I'm just going to cut him on those parts, right? So his shirt sleeve would have a seam, right? So I'm just going to go ahead and say right here would probably be a good spot for a seam. So I'm going to go to edge. I'm going to double click on this edge loop. Okay, notice it's also over there. I have the Object X, just this might be off, just make sure it's Object X. I go like that, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this UV toolkit. Now yours might not show up. If yours is not there, you simply go to Tools, Hide UV Toolkit, Show UV Toolkit. You also might pop up over here. I like to just kind of like sneak it on there so it's part of the whole business. If for some reason something doesn't work in here or it still doesn't show up, It's actually, I think, a plugin. So if you go to Settings, Preferences, Plugin Manager, and then it's Unfold 3D. Go into the first section, you'll see Unfold 3D. Make sure Loaded and Auto Load is on. Now, normally when you do these plugins, oddly enough, you actually don't have to restart Maya. They'll actually work right away, which I find odd because most of the time, plugins, if they're so incorporated, you actually have to restart the program. This one I would, though, because I've tried doing it before and it didn't work quite right. So I would say go ahead and, if it wasn't on, go ahead and shut down Maya, open Maya back up. You don't have to restart the computer, just Maya. Okay. So let's say that that's on there. That's all good. You got your UV toolkit. Okay, so I grabbed the seam. I'm going to go over here, and then you'll see cut. These are basically all of these are the tools, and they're organized into different things. Right now, what we're going to do is we're going to cut this guy into pieces and deal with that. So I'm going to go to cut and sew. And all I want to do is make sure this is, again, under UV editor. All right. I'm going to click on cut. And now you're going to notice, actually, if I even click off, see how there's this white? It actually shows the seam. As long as this window's up, you'll see the seam there. It should be on by default. But it also looks different here. Okay, so see, and now it cut that. So now that is cut. It is right there. It doesn't look like it did anything. But what you'll notice is if you click on this, this is the shell selection. You click on that tool. You can click on it now. And then I can now move this up and over. I don't really care where you put it right now. I'm just going to pull it off. You'll notice that I can take this off because the head's actually not connected, so they're already separate. So if you want to click on the head actually and just move that off too. But now the arms are cut off. Yay! And just set them to the side. We're actually going to come back to that because we got to do the hands. All right, so we got the arms off. We got the head off. Now I'm going to cut the waist here. So I'm just going to look, and you can see right here's the line, right, for my shirt. So I'm going to double click on that. Make sure it's going all the way around, right? If it doesn't, just, hold shift and click on each one and make sure you get them all. I'm going to hit cut. I'm going to click on this move shell tool, and I'm going to grab the legs and put that off. Now, this still doesn't quite work because, again, it's still flat across. So now what I have to do is I have to make a decision, where do I want to make my next cuts? So I'm going to do it like a shirt because I'm wearing a shirt. But if this was a nude figure, I would probably put just a center cut right down the line here and then unravel it that way. So basically, if it was a shirt, I'd cut it right down the center, and then I can unroll it, and that way there'd be no seams except for directly behind the character, which hopefully you would never see. But this is a shirt, so I'm just going to mimic what the shirt is. So I'm just going to go over here, and I'm going to go to Edge, and I'm going to do this. I want to basically grab this edge, because, again, if you look at my shirt, there's a seam here, 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 and here. It's basically there's a front piece and a back piece, and then they're connected on the seams and then the arms holes. I'm sure there's words of what those actually mean. So I'm going to click here, and then I need this whole line. So I could just hold shift and click, 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 and you can just do that if you want. Just go ahead and do it that way. Now I need all the way from here. So I have to go from where this cut is, right? Because that's where the arm is, to where that cut is there. Which it's not really a cut, it's just the end of it. So I got that one. Now what I want to do is I'm going to click here for this one, and I'm going to hold shift and double click. When you want one and you have one that's in the path of another, if you double click on it, it will draw straight across it. Okay. So I've got this, this one, and again, because it's mirrored, also this one. Okay. So now you can see here, basically what I needed. I'm going to hit cut. I'm going to grab the shell. I'm going to click on this one. Then I'll move. There it goes. Make sure you don't click through. I'm going to move it over, and now I have two shirt pieces. Okay. And we're going to come back to these. These actually aren't quite done, but now you can see I have a front piece and a back piece of my shirt. All right. Okay, good. Let's go ahead and let's do the legs here. Again, I could choose to do it like pants. I could choose to not do it like pants. I could do a million things. So, for instance, I could just do like a seam right down the side here, have it come up and around, and back and around. And that'd be fine. That's actually, pants do have seams on either side of the legs, but there's also a seam on the crotch. But I don't really need that seam in order to relax it, so I don't know if I'm going to do that or not. We'll see. I'm going to cut the one part and then we'll look and see what we have. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to click on this. It might be easier to have Q on just for regular select. I'm going to click on this one. And then, actually, you know what? Even before I do that, let's go ahead and just cut these legs off here. Just because obviously these are pants and these are legs. So I'm going to grab those. I'm going to go ahead and cut that. Right? Go to my shell tool. I'm just going to take this, just move this off so I'm see what I'm working with here. Okay, so the legs are off. Now, go back to edges. I'm going to click on this. I'm going to hold shift and double click. Right? So that's that seam. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold shift, click here, and you see it's mirroring. So I'm just going to go up to the center here, hold shift still, and double click on that. And now you can see it drew the line straight across. And so now you can see it here as well. Okay, and I'm just going to hit cut. Okay, so now if you were to look, grab the thing here, you can see I have a front and a back. But again, I could put a seam right here. If you look at your, it depends on the clothing. I'm sure there's clothes that don't have a seam there, but usually there's seam, you know, right here as well on the crotch. It's kind of up to you. Generally speaking, the fewer the seams, the better, because it's less pieces. You have less seams that are going to be obvious. But in this case, I'm just going to leave it for the sake of ease. But normally, well, I don't even know about normally. But yeah, anyway, that's what we have there. Okay, so we'll call that good. Let's go ahead, and if you look, you can see that the leg here, right? So this is skin, this is shoe. So I'm just going to go to edge, and I'm going to double click on this edge loop. Hopefully it went all the way around. Looks like it did. I'm going to go ahead and cut the, oops, not that one. Go ahead and cut the legs off here. Grab that, move that over. And then next we have the feet. And let's cut the soles of the feet. Edge, double click. You see it doesn't go all the way around. I'll hold shift, double click, double click, double click. So that's now it's going all the way around. And I'm going to go ahead and hit cut. And I'm going to go to the UV shell tool. I'm going to click on it here. You see I can't click on it there because they correspond. I can actually grab it here, and then I'll just pull these off. Oh, I think it's raining. Okay, that is acceptable. That's going to need a lot of these are going to need more work, but we're just kind of starting. We're just going to cut them into pieces. Okay, same thing with the sleeves here, right? So this is skin. It's a different texture altogether. You know, different material. So I'm going to double click right here, and I'm going to go ahead and cut it. So right here obviously doesn't need to be a seam because it's all one cylindrical piece, but it actually will be easier when we do the digital painting if they are separate pieces. Since these are so distinctly different, my skin and my shirt, it's better to actually put the seam there. Okay, so where's my arms? Here we go. So I'm just going to go ahead and click on my Move UV Shell tool here. I'm going to move that off. Okay, we'll do the sleeve alone. And then this is obviously all one piece. But you're going to see, so it would be best, again, there's no seams on skin, right? So it would be best if you didn't have any seams on there, but quite frankly, it's not going to be possible because look at the complicatedness of this and the simplestness of this. Simplicity. Yeah. So we're just going to cut his hands off because he stole fruit. So I'm just going to go to edge. I'm going to double click on this edge loop. Make sure it went all the way around. It did. I'm going to hit cut. And I'm going to click on the UV shell tool there, or move shell or whatever. That's good, and I think he's all into pieces. Now this, if you were to look at it, but great, we did it. It's actually not any better. If I went ahead and I put that texture on there, I can actually preview it right here. If I click on this, it'll actually put a thing on there. Oh no, it looks better, but it's actually bad. See how on the top, because it's still a straight projection, it's not good. So we're going to need to basically, now we've cut them into chunks. Now we need to unfold them, okay? I'm going to do that in the next video.